at what age should you quit running? Okay, and that is a question some athletes ask. And I think in terms of running, fortunately, we're in a sport where we can run for as long as we wish to run. There's athletes out there in their 90s. There's athletes out there over 100 years old in some cases that are still out there competing in track and field races. Okay, so we're not in a sport that age really plays a major factor. Okay, you can still run. It's really going to be dependent on how badly you still want to participate in this sport. There's some athletes that get involved in other sports. Maybe they've competed and they've done running for so many years, and they get excited about maybe cycling, or they get excited about other types of sports, and it's okay to do that. But I think in terms of continuing to run, it's really going to come down to your motivation level and how badly you want to continue in the sport. And just keep in mind too, is if you're feeling like you're running low on motivation, and you don't feel like running is your sport anymore, give yourself some time away. Okay, take a month off completely. Don't think, don't stress over the time off, or don't stress over a poor race or poor workouts that you've had. Okay, don't let bad races or bad performances in your workouts dictate how successful you're going to become in the future in your running. I think a lot of athletes quit far too soon because we get into the trap of not believing in delayed gratification. The problem is, for most of us, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else, if you're a motivated individual, you want success, you're seeking excellence, you want quick results. You want it now. You don't want it 5 years from now. You don't want it 10 years from now. You want it now. And I think a lot of athletes quit running. They second guess themselves. They get demotivated on account of pushing themselves too hard too soon. I've had a lot of younger athletes. I've had athletes that say that, hey, I'm 17 years old. I want to break the 3-hour marathon. I'm like, oh my goodness, 17 years old, a sub 3-hour marathon. I wasn't thinking anything like that. I didn't start running marathons till I was 25 years old. And there are athletes, very advanced athletes, that are still trying to break a 3-hour marathon, but they get really depressed, and they get, really frustrated when they're not getting the types of results that they want. And I'm thinking, man, these athletes are so young. I had another athlete, 13 years old, trying to break the same barrier, trying to break 3 hours. And of course, yes, there are some athletes out there, very talented athletes, very hardworking athletes, that have the capability to break a 3-hour marathon at that particular age. There's a small percentage that are, but I think you have to pace yourself in terms of when you're in this sport. So, what age should you quit running? I almost couldn't believe that this particular question was asked. But that being said, it is normal that burnout is a real thing, but it's also psychological too. Okay, sometimes it's nothing that you're doing wrong that's the problem. Okay, I think sometimes it's just that you get so immersed in what you're doing that you don't allow enough time to decompress and to relax and to keep the enjoyment of your running in what you're doing. Okay, if you lose that enthusiasm, okay, if it's becoming feels like more of a chore to go out and run, you're either running too much mileage, or you're running too little mileage that it's not enough to challenge you. Or it could be that you haven't given yourself a break. You haven't given yourself enough time off to recover 100%. I hope that makes sense. A lot of times too, it's something. It could be nothing wrong with you psychologically. It could be something physical. It could be something in regards to you're running low on maybe on potassium or iron or ferritin or glutathione. Most athletes have never heard about glutathione either, but your glutathione levels, if you run low on that, that's your body's master antioxidant. Okay, it's very, very critical to maintain optimal glutathione levels. And the problem with glutathione levels is you do have to take supplements for that. Okay, and there's nothing really wrong with doing that, but it's very hard for glutathione to be absorbed into the body, okay, through diet. So if you're running low on that, if you're running low on iron or ferritin, oxygen transport in terms of your cellular health is very, very weak. So you can have all the motivation in the world, and you are not going to be hitting splits or not hitting race times that you want. And that results in people wanting to quit the sport. It results in people that are stressed out, burned out, stale, and really doubting their capabilities as athletes. Okay, so think about these things. If you're training in hot weather conditions, it's very natural that we sweat far more, obviously, in the heat than versus the cold. I mean, yeah, we still sweat a lot in the cold weather too, but the hotter conditions, we sweat through, obviously through sweating, lose iron through sweating, foot strike hemolysis. Females lose it in other ways as well. So be thinking about these things because a lot of athletes just think, man, maybe I'm just getting too old for this, or maybe I ran a certain time when I was in my 20s and now I'm in my 50s and I don't know if I have that capability. There are plenty of athletes out there that set the example for us all, that you can still run very, very fast in the later years. Okay. I'm totally in awe of athletes that are out there competing in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I still jog for fitness now. I'm not running 100 plus miles a week like I used to, but I still love what I'm doing. More importantly, I love coaching and guiding athletes here online. I get far more enjoyment from seeing an athlete set a new personal best than I ever did trying to run certain times on the track or on the roads myself as an athlete, because that's kind of more of a ego thing. It's a personal thing. Of course, it's a good thing to have goals and personal goals, but it's something else. It's a different type of feeling when you're helping another individual bypass what they thought was impossible for themselves. Okay. I coached an athlete. He has 5 kids. His personal best for the marathon was like 4:15 or 4:20. He wanted to break a 3-hour marathon and he ended up running. No, I take that back. His personal best was 3:48. Okay. He wanted to break a 3-hour marathon. He ended up running 2:56, and he sent me this long email. I was like, I cannot believe, I followed what you were saying. I got 5 kids. I never thought that this was possible. So don't let up on what you're going after. I know it's difficult. I know, because I experienced it too, that you're going to have days where and weeks where you are just not hitting it. You're running piss poor race performances and you're wondering what is going on. If this is becoming a chronic thing, don't quit the sport. Okay. It might just be you're only a few weeks away or a few months away from hitting that goal time. Okay. Your long-term goal might take you another 5 years to achieve, or another 10 years to achieve. Okay. It comes down to your own personal motivation, and find that enjoyment for what you're doing. Don't let up. If it becomes if you feel like you're just not hitting it in terms of your training and racing, then allow yourself some time off. Give yourself completely 2 weeks off, no running whatsoever. Eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, enjoy yourself, then come back and get that excitement back for what you're doing. So I hope this is helpful in terms of this question. And I know a lot of athletes out there are really dealing with burnout. They're dealing with other stresses that are in their lives. They're in school full time. They got kids. They have other responsibilities, work constraints. So you have to balance what you're doing. And I understand too. I worked I was in the military for over 20 years on active duty, and I just kind of prioritized what I wanted to do, and I knew it was going to be extremely difficult. There were times where I was out in field training exercises. I remember when I was at Fort Campbell in Kentucky, and had to get up at 2 a.m. to do an 18-mile long run while we were out in the field, because I had a 5 a.m. tent duty that I had to report to, and I was training for the 2011 Monumental Indianapolis Marathon. So I got up at 2 a.m., did the 18-mile run, got back just in time to get a quick shower, did my tent duty, and then got back and, prepared for breakfast and the rest of the day. Sometimes you are going to have to make some serious adjustments and to really decide how badly you want success. So I hope this video is helpful. Hearing it from somebody that's been there and done that and totally understands where you're coming from. Leave me a comment below. Let me know any questions, any concerns that you have, any type of issue you're dealing with in terms of feeling like you're wanting to quit the sport. Don't let up, okay? Because again, hope is always there. It's running will always be there. There's always going to be other races there for you. If you're injured, allow some time off. Give yourself a break, okay? Decompress, relax a little bit, have some fun, enjoy yourself, but don't quit the sport if you really enjoy what you're doing. So I hope this is helpful for you all, and I will talk to you all in the next video.